Nowadays, many parents, what they do is they end up breastfeeding and then they are topping up. And slowly, what happens is the baby starts getting used to the top up. It could be expressed milk or formula, but the baby starts understanding that I'm anyway going to get this top feed, so I'm going to stop working on the breast. They start getting fussy, and the parent is like, oh, I don't have milk. The baby is taking so much of the top up, and then slowly, they think their supply is low and they stop breastfeeding and the baby moves completely to a expressed feed or formula. Human babies are very intelligent. If they are going to get something very easily, they are not going to work on the breast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Modern Indian Parent Podcast, the podcast that is redefining parenting in Indian families. The topic of today's discussion is all about breastfeeding. Despite it being one of the most natural things to do, it is so difficult. Everything from preparing for breastfeeding to what to do to actually get your child to breastfeed, concerns about low milk supply, sufficient weight gain, returning to work, pumping. There are so many questions that new parents have about breastfeeding. And today we have invited an expert who is going to be able to answer all these questions for you and reassure you and give you the confidence that you need to be able to have a successful breastfeeding relationship with your baby. Today we have with us Seema Kazi Ramnikar, who is a childbirth, lactation, and parenting educator, and also the founder of Sama Birthing and Beyond. It is a one-stop center that provides coaching to families from the preconception stage all the way till after the baby comes. They have in-person coaching centers in Mumbai, in the Juhu area, but they offer coaching services online to parents all around the world. The best thing about this episode is that you're going to get guilt-free and pressure-free advice, which is evidence-based to make choices in your breastfeeding journey. Whether you want to exclusively breastfeed or combo feed, you're going to get the right advice that you need to make that happen. So without further ado, let's invite Seema to get this episode started. Hello and welcome, Seema. I'm so glad to have you here for this episode. For the purpose of our audience, can you please tell them about yourself? Because I feel like you have an endless list of credentials that only you are able to describe to everybody.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's my pleasure. I am Seema. I'm the founder of Sama Birthing and Beyond, and now the Sama Center in Juhu in Mumbai. Yeah, so I've been practicing for 14 years. I started my journey as a prenatal, postnatal nutrition fitness educator for pregnant postpartum moms. And I went on to certify as a childbirth educator and then a lactation educator, a parenting educator.
That's amazing. The way I found you on Instagram is I saw a picture of you with Ranbir Kapoor, and I'm a huge Ranbir Kapoor fan. And I was just fascinated to see that they are going through this parenting journey and they're taking support from you. So tell me, like, living in Mumbai and working in Mumbai, have you had a chance to work with like celebrity couples, given that so many of them had babies in the recent, past?
Yeah, I know. I feel very blessed and privileged. I have had opportunities to work with a lot of celebrity clients, and they've all been so nice. And I mean, I know that it's everyone's like, oh, wow, you're working with XYZ, but honestly, they've all been so down to earth, so approachable, and I'm so glad I get to support them. And yeah, I realized that at the end of the day, despite of you being a celebrity or maybe you're a gynecologist or psychologist, it just comes down to the same thing: feeling overwhelmed, scared, and needing support.
That's amazing. It's such an equalizing experience to know that everybody is going through the same struggles and you have been there to be a part of it. In this conversation, I would specifically love to talk to you about breastfeeding because you have so many feathers in your hat. Birth educator, prenatal preparation, lactation counselor. I saw potty training courses and even weaning courses on your website. But I feel out of all of these things, breastfeeding is one of the things that almost every single mother struggles with, no matter how natural it's supposed to be. It's like bless those mothers who are able to establish a latch right away. But for most women that I've spoken to, they describe it as one of the hardest things they've had to do after giving birth. And one part of it is that it's physically very taxing, being up every 2 hours, getting the baby to latch, sitting there for 40 minutes at a time. But the other part of it is that there is so much misinformation. No sleep. Oh my God, that is huge, right? You're the only one responsible to feed the baby, so you don't get any sleep. But, in the Indian society specifically, there are so many myths and misconceptions about breastfeeding that get passed down without any rhyme or logic. And we are just made to follow these things. That makes it even harder for us to breastfeed the baby, right? So, what do you think? Do you come across these in your experience as well?
Yeah, so I think there are two parts to this. One is that many women or couples are focused on labor and birthing, and they completely miss reading up about breastfeeding or even preparing about breastfeeding. And secondly, the other part is the misinformation that you're talking about. The pediatrician is saying one thing, the lactation consultant or whoever is visiting in the hospital is saying something, cousin or aunt or mother-in-law, mother are saying something. So it just overwhelms the new mother. And that's where I feel education plays a very important role. I always, when I'm in my sessions, I'm telling them, you know what, don't worry about labor birthing. It'll just happen. But breastfeeding is something that you need to do from the minute your baby is born. And please read up, prepare, and look for evidence based, up to date information. Do not just randomly chat GPT or Google information, and then you will be just confused and struggling.
Absolutely. Wow, this education part of it is so important. And I feel like this episode could become a part of the education journey, right? And that's why we are so lucky to have you, because you are somebody who keeps up with these up to date lactation practices. And
Yes.
that's why I was thinking for this episode, let's start off with a round of myth versus fact. Okay, it's like a true false version, but we're specifically going to talk about certain things that we hear about breastfeeding. And I'm going to do a rapid fire with you. So all you have to answer with is myth or fact. And then later in the episode, if you want to like delve into any one of these that you really feel like you want to clear up, then we can talk about it. Okay. So are you ready? Are you ready for this myth or fact about breastfeeding?
Yes.
All right, let's shoot. Number one, smaller breasts can make only lesser milk. Myth or fact?
False. Myth.
Eating panjiri and lactation cookies will increase your milk supply. Myth or fact?
Yeah, the lactagogues can help, but depends, it should suit the mother.
Got it. Feeding the baby when you have wet hair, or if the mom eats cold food, the breast milk will get cold and the baby will fall sick.
Myth.
Exclusively breastfed babies don't need water in the first 6 months of life, not even in the summers.
They don't need water. Only mama's milk. That's enough. For all 6 months, or irrespective, breast milk or formula, no water for babies till 6 months or till whenever they start solids.
Amazing. You cannot store breast milk in the fridge or freezer.
Breast milk, it's a myth. You can store breast milk up to a year in the freezer. New evidence shows.
Amazing. Breast milk changes flavor based on what the mummy eats.
It does get flavored by the mother's food intake, but that's the way to inculcate good eating habits.
Amazing. After 1 year, after the child turns 1 year, breastfeeding is unnecessary as it is mostly just water.
Myth. Incorrect.
You cannot breastfeed if you have flat or inverted nipples.
Myth. You can breastfeed still.
Okay, you have to drink milk to make milk.
Myth. You don't need to drink milk if you don't want to. In fact, it's not something that doesn't suit a baby.
Yes. Colostrum, which is the first yellowish milk, is actually stale milk from the breast and should be discarded.
It's myth. It's full of nutrients. You can't. Your baby needs it.
Okay. Breastfeeding in the side lying position causes ear infections.
It's very comfortable if a mother can lie down and feed. It's highly encouraged if the mother is comfortable and the baby is latching well. Please go ahead, do it.
So it's a myth. It doesn't cause ear infections.
No.
Okay, amazing. Last one. Last one. Moms cannot drink any tea or coffee while they are breastfeeding.
Myth. They can have at least 2 cups if they want to.
Okay, amazing. I'll add one more to it. Moms cannot drink any alcohol when they are breastfeeding.
There is a way to do it. Once milk supply is established around the 3rd month, as soon as you finish breastfeeding, you're going to have 1 unit. It can be 1 unit, but there are CDC guidelines about it.
Awesome. Awesome. My God, I feel like we are like 10 minutes into this conversation. We have already learned so much. So many myths are busted. But I have a whole list of questions for you as well that I would love to understand more about. Like, we can use these questions to understand more about breastfeeding, especially these are questions that I have seen my clients ask me in those first 3 months of life. They're very worried about a lot of these things. But I want to start at the very beginning. Okay. Something that you mentioned earlier really caught my attention. You said, you need to breastfeed from the first minute after
Yes.
birth. Okay. This is so different from what's happening in real life, where as soon as you give birth, the baby is sort of wheeled away and, they're taken for weighing and cleaning and wrapping. And then they take them for all these tests. Mom is taken back to her room. And like maybe a couple of hours later, the baby and the mom meet and then they attempt breastfeeding with the help of a lactation consultant. This is typically what's happening in hospitals all around the world. So, can you tell us, as a lactation consultant, whether or not you've had a vaginal birth or C section birth, when and where should the first breastfeed take place?
As a lactation consultant, my advice to all expecting mothers is as soon as a baby is born, the baby should be put on the mother's breast for skin to skin and even attempt to breastfeed, even if it's for a few minutes. And immediately after the procedure, like if suppose it's a vaginal birth, she should just be holding the baby and try and latch the baby. And if it's a cesarean birth, then the minute she's sutured and she's moved to post-op, they should call the nurse on duty and ask her to help to feed the baby. It has to be immediately done because human babies are made in such a way that the minute they are born, they start looking for their source of food. And that is the best time to latch them because that helps the baby to start practicing sucking out the milk or gives a message to the mother's body that the baby is born and now milk supply needs to be made. So immediately after birth, irrespective vaginal birth or cesarean, the baby should be put on the mother's breast.
Wow. And I've heard of something called the golden hour, right? Like it actually has a big impact on the success rate of breastfeeding as well.
The first hour is called the golden hour, where it's very, very precious time for mother and baby to bond. In fact, I also say that if for whatever reason the mother is unable to hold the baby skin to skin, that the father should do it. So it's very important that this is something that you should talk to your doctor already from before you give birth as part of your birth plan.
Understood. But somehow I'm not able to envision a newborn baby being able to latch. Like, so in what position would you be trying to latch the baby, especially if you've just given birth?
So at that point of time, even if the baby's lip touches the mother's nipple, the areola, that's enough. That kind of just sends a message to the mother's body to, release more oxytocin. In fact, in natural birthing practices, as soon as the baby is born, the baby is given to the mother and the mother tries and latches the baby. And with the sucking, the placenta gets delivered because oxytocin is released and the placenta gets delivered. So that's how beautifully nature has made this procedure where you just have to follow your body and you don't have to worry about anything else and every step is taken care of.
So, like you're saying that even if the baby is like, let's say, if, you're practically lying down because you're so exhausted after giving birth, or with moms who are having a C-section, they're obviously on the operating table. For them, in the lying down position, as long as the baby is around the breast, can like attach at the nipple, even in the lying down
Yes.
position, that's good enough. You don't need to go into like this cradle
Even
hold,
if you're
cross
lying
cradle hold, or
flat,
anything like that.
yeah, even if you're lying flat, human babies are made in such a way that they can lie on top of you and feed. They don't need to be upright. So that's how amazing our bodies are.
This itself will like clear a lot of misconceptions for families, and those who are especially preparing for birth will keep this in mind. But the next big question that mums have once the baby is born is, if I'm breastfeeding, how do I know if my baby is getting enough milk, especially in those first few days of life where it's so crucial to help them gain weight?
Yeah. So the best way to go ahead is to feed your baby on demand, which could be every 2, 3 hours, or it could be even every hour, and to count the number of wet and dirty diapers. So that is your best indicator. And of course, you have to watch how your baby is latched. Is the baby sucking and swallowing, or is the baby just moving the lips? Because very often new babies are sleepy heads, and they may not, continuously suck and swallow. They go off to sleep. So you need to put the baby down. The baby wakes up, realizes the baby is still hungry, then you latch again. So this is something that takes some time. That's why I always say that breastfeeding, you have to keep four P's in mind. First is the preference. The mother wants to feed the baby. Second is practice. Third is patience. And fourth is persistence. So if you're really keen and you really want to breastfeed, you have to tell yourself it takes time and it's not something that you should feel bad about. You should just keep doing it. And slowly you will get the hang of it. The baby gets the hang of it. And if you keep feeding every hour, 2 hours, and keep monitoring the pee, you will know that your baby is drinking something, and that's how there is something coming out. So that's the best indicator.
Absolutely. But I think a lot of times I hear from moms is when a baby starts to show hunger signals every 1 hour, sometimes they're telling this to themselves or their relatives will be telling them it's because you don't have enough milk. That's why your baby is feeding every hour instead of being able to go for 2 to 3 hour stretches, right? Because you see, you're not able to visualize how much milk your baby is having. So let's say one indicator you said is it's not about the 2 or 3 hour stretches. It's about the pee count. How many like wet diapers are we expecting from, let's say, the beginning of life?
So it's you, like the way we counted is day one, day two, day three, day four. And then after day six, we look for 6 diapers a day. That's how we know that we've
Understood.
been drinking enough. And we need minimum 8 feeds in 24 hours. It could be 10, 11, 12 also. Yeah, but if the baby's been given formula, then the number of feeds will be less because formula's much more heavier and breast milk is very easy to digest. So they do feed again and again because that's actually how it should be. Physiologically, human babies are supposed to keep waking up and feeding because then they are learning to suck and the mother's body understands there's more milk needed to be weaned. That's something that mothers should try and do.
So it's not that if the baby is waking repeatedly to feed or trying wanting to feed every 1 hour, 2 hour instead of the 3 hour stretches, it doesn't mean that something is wrong with your baby or something is wrong with your milk supply. It just means your baby is learning. Like you mentioned, it's a matter of practice. And the more practice you get, if you have a positive take on it, of course, it will help you establish the milk supply as well.
Also, different babies work differently, just like as adults. Some of us eat very quickly, some of us need a little longer. Even babies are different. Some figure it out and they feed latch perfectly from day one. And then largely babies will need to be a lot on the breast. It also is comforting. It's a natural extension from being in your belly, in your womb to your chest. It's the closest they can be to the mother. So they love it. They love being held a lot. I think it's very important that the expecting mother kind of prepares herself mentally about this whole process, then it becomes easier. Otherwise, if you keep questioning and keep thinking, why am I holding so long? I'm sitting all the time. But this is just a phase. It's not going to be something that you'll do forever. And if you look at it differently, it just makes it easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like the changing your perception about things helps a lot, right? Also, I think a lot of our perceptions are made of because of what we see and we read around us. Especially let's say when it comes to breastfeeding. Like I mentioned, most of us have been told, oh, your baby has to feed every 3 hours. In the hospital, they tell you have to feed every 3 hours. But when your baby starts showing hunger signs after 1.5 hours, you're just like, then you start questioning yourself, you start questioning your body, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the other thing, which is what should a typical breastfeeding session look like? Like, is it just you have to feed from one side? Do you feed from both sides? Is it 20 minutes each side? Like, what should it be like? How do you would say that this was a successful like breastfeeding session?
So in the early days, which is like the first month, typically I always say that watch your baby. Babies first of all need to be latched properly, and secondly, they should not go off to sleep because that's what happens in the early days. They do go off to sleep, so you have to unlatch, put them down, relatch. So all that will take time, approximately give or take 20 to 30 minutes on one breast doing this, observing and unlatching, relatching. burping in between, changing the nappy so that they are awake, they are alert, and they feed effectively. And then offer the other breast. They may take it, they may not take it, but offering both sides always helps because it stimulates both breasts equally. The body makes enough milk for the baby. So my suggestion always is offer one side and offer the other side as well. But keep watching your baby. Is the baby sucking and swallowing, or is the baby just moving the lips? Then the baby is not drawing out any milk. So then you have to unlatch, put the baby down, maybe change the diaper, or use a wet napkin just to wipe their face, and they realize, oh, I'm still hungry, and then relatch. So it will take anywhere up to 40-45 minutes doing all this in the early days. Then they start getting a hang of it. I have had moms who called me at the 3 month mark and saying that, oh, what happened? I used to sit for 40-45 minutes, and now in 5-7 minutes the baby's done. Is there something wrong with my milk supply? No, it's your baby has figured out how to effectively suck, and your body has adjusted to the amount of milk your baby needs.
Amazing. This is such a simple thing that so many parents don't understand because they start again, the cycle of self doubt just continues, right?
Oh, yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
there is something wrong with me.
Absolutely. My breasts have become soft. I think my breasts are empty. No, that's not an indicator at all. Or I'm pumping and I'm getting so little. But again, pumping is a completely different thing. You need to practice it. You need to have some sort of a plan and do it every day around the same time. Then you slowly start seeing the milk increasing. So, and I think one of the most important thing mothers should know is stress will not do anything for them. If they are stressed, even if they have milk, there's no letdown easily. So they need to just, like clear their mind and take deep breaths, sit in a calm place, do away with anybody who's not helping them or giving negative inputs. Sit with a tall glass of water, eat something nutritious, play some nice calming music. This is how it should be. It should be completely stress free and relaxing. Shouldn't be worrying and not be able to do it. I don't know what's wrong. I don't think my baby is getting enough. It's not going to help.
Absolutely. I think that is the biggest stress, right? And I feel low milk supply is something that is on every mom's mind. Even if we have a decent milk supply, even if our baby is thriving, we are still worried about what if my milk supply goes down? So can I ask you, how would you differentiate between a true low supply? Because I'm sure that happens as well, and just a perceived low supply. Like, how do you know which is which, so that you know how to remedy it as well?
Yeah. So usually nowadays, many parents, what they do is they end up breastfeeding and then they are topping up. And slowly, what happens is the baby starts getting used to the top up. It could be expressed milk or formula, but the baby starts understanding that I'm anyway going to get this top feed, so I'm going to stop working on the breast. They start getting fussy, and the parent is like, oh, I don't have milk. The baby is taking so much of the top up. And then slowly, they think their supply is low and they stop breastfeeding, and the baby moves completely to a expressed feed or formula. Human babies are very intelligent. If they are going to get something very easily, they are not going to work on the breast. So I always tell mothers, if you're keen on breastfeeding, try and just breastfeed. Try not to top up. If you want, just give a full feed of expressed bottle or formula. So that way there's no confusion also for the baby. So low milk supply would happen if the baby is maybe sick and not sucking effectively, mother's very stressed out, offering top ups, or you miss a feed repeatedly, then the body thinks you don't need so much milk, so the milk supply will drop. So there are some factors which would cause no milk supply, but largely if you're feeding at regular intervals, and if you are not able to feed, then you should pump because that gives your body the message, "Oh, we still need to make milk." So missing feeds or dropping
Yeah.
feeds will affect milk supply.
Understood. Understood. And you mentioned that, instead of topping up every single feeding with 30 ml, 60 ml of milk in a bottle, you continue with breastfeeding separately. And then, if needed, you offer one bottle
Yeah,
separately of
yeah.
express breast
That
milk or
to avoid
formula, right?
confusion.
Instead of
Yeah,
doing this double feeding.
yeah. Not
Okay.
not
So
that
tell me something. What
it
is
they
the right
get confused.
time?
babies get confused. So it doesn't help.
I understand. So, can I ask what is the right time to introduce a bottle to a baby if the parent's preference is to do a combination feeding? Let's say in the long run, mom knows she has to go back to work at some point and she wants the baby to be able to take a bottle in addition to the breast. What's the right time to do that?
So the best time to introduce a bottle is ideally after 3 to 4 weeks after the baby is born. By that time, breastfeeding is established. There is no confusion, and the baby will take a bottle and also come back to the breast. But provided you're just offering 1 or 2 bottle feeds. If you give more bottle feeds, then the baby may stop working at the breast. 1 or 2 bottle feeds is fine. You can even introduce it later,
And what?
around 4 5 months when you are going to go back to work. In fact, something that what I did with when I was going back to work when my daughter was 6 months is I had introduced a straw cup for her, and she had started drinking water from the straw cup. So we never did bottles. We straight away from the breast moved to a straw bottle, and she started having expressed milk in the straw bottle. So you could do even that. So you don't have to, but if you are having a hard time, with sleep and you need a break, so that one bottle, someone else giving it, your partner or help or any family member, while you get to kind of get a full night's sleep, is something many moms today are doing.
I understand. But like you said, if you want to keep up your supply and prevent that from dropping, you still need to replace that bottle with a pump. And I feel
Yeah,
that is something that a lot of parents miss out on when they give the bottle. They're not necessarily replacing with a pump. And then you might end up with like a 6 hour gap between feeds.
yeah, yeah. But again, it varies from mother to mother. Some are not able to express, they find it hard. So then they just give a formula, which is fine. I always tell the baby needs a happy mother. So as much as we want to breastfeed, there would be times where the mother's struggling, and it's no need to struggle. You need to see what works for you. And also don't compare your journey with your sister, friend, relative. I don't know, just see what is working for you. What worked for me was just breastfeeding at that point of time. But for someone else, it could have been giving formula and breastfeeding, or it could be breastfeeding and expressed milk. So, really, we should not like judge, or even the mother should not feel guilty about it. She should do what she feels is working best and keeping her mentally sane, because at the end of the day, our baby needs a happy parent, and that's really, really.
That is so heartening to hear, especially coming from a lactation consultant. You have no idea how much this means to mom to hear this because of the amount of pressure
Yeah,
that they are on, like that is put on them to breastfeed, to exclusively breastfeed, and absolute everything else is not an option, right? But what happens is that definitely what I have seen with moms is like you mentioned that after every feed they're offering a bit of formula, and then when they keep doing that, of course there comes a point where the baby now starts crying at the sight of the breast, where they get really fussy at the breast, they just don't want to breastfeed, and that itself can be a very heartbreaking experience for moms as well who truly wanted to breastfeed, but because of the lack of the right amount of information about breastfeeding and bottle feeding and combo feeding in general, they were not able to do it. So, in
yeah,
your
it does
experience, if a baby has yeah, if baby has developed a bit of a bottle preference, and which, sadly leads to a breast aversion as well, what are some things that a mom can do to bring the baby back to the breast while still maintaining some level of combo feeding?
So she'll have to work closely with a lactation consultant who will guide her and understand her situation, what she wants to do, and get her. It is possible. I've had moms who came to me 3 months after they delivered, and we, kind of, I helped her get back to breastfeeding. I've helped moms with twins to breastfeeding and go on to breastfeed for almost 2 years. So it is possible. She just needs to reach out for help, because it really varies from mother to mother and the situation and the circumstance. And then we, like, guide. Maybe we need to do a lot more skin to skin, keep the baby close to the mother. the whole time. It all helps to kind of re-establish milk supply. It needs a lot of patience, but we can do it. It's very doable. It's just up to the mother how keen she is to get back to breastfeeding.
I understand. So you're saying one part of it is doing more skin to skin contact because, like you mentioned earlier, it releases oxytocin, helps with the milk
Yeah.
supply and everything. What else? What are some of your top tips that you can offer to a mom who's struggling with the getting the baby onto the breast because they've gotten too used to the bottle now?
Used to the bottle. Yeah. So they'll have to kind of, maybe cut down on the bottle, do a lot more skin to skin and try breastfeeding. You'll have to soothe the baby, then again try to get the baby. You need to do pace feeding. You need to check how the baby's latched onto the bottle.
What do you mean by a paced feeding? Like, what does that look like?
So you're not finishing the feed in 5 minutes because if you are trying to breastfeed and do a bottle feed, the baby kind of gets used to the bottle because it comes so quickly. And on the breast, the baby has to work. So we want to create a similar kind of a situation where we feed the baby slowly and the bottle is held at an angle and not straight up to finish it in like 5 minutes. We want to kind of feed the baby slowly. The baby should take and swallow. The baby also has to digest it. Many times, babies who are bottle fed are overfed also, and they feed quickly and they end up having a lot more spit up. So, pace feeding helps to kind of manage the feed a little better, and the baby also feels better, not feels overfed. And
So there's a lot of things that we need to take care of, even when we're combo feeding. Everything from the
yes,
timing to the choice of the bottle to the technique of the bottle feeding. And that is what allows you to kind of maintain a successful combo feeding relationship. It's not like you have a baby, you get the bottle tucked inside. Good, feed finish, 5 minutes. That's a job well done. When in fact, that can negatively affect the breastfeeding relationship.
yes, absolutely.
Got it. Seema, one thing that's also becoming a part of the breastfeeding journey is pumping. I don't know any mom who has not purchased a breast pump. Like, I think everybody has gotten a breast pump because millennial moms, we want to be able to step away if needed in our maternity leave period. And after our maternity leave ends, we are going back to work. We want to continue the breastfeeding journey by being able to pump at the office and then bring back milk, right? But like you said, so many moms nowadays are encountering videos of the breast milk pour. Come and pour breast milk with me. And then, this mom is like taking out with one pump and like, oh, I made 180 ml from this breast and I made 150 ml from this breast. So my total morning output was 330 ml. And then a mom who's sitting on the other side of the screen is pumping and she's getting 30 ml on one side, 20 ml on the other side. And they just feel like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Why I have such a low milk supply, right? So can you tell me what is the normal amount of milk you can expect in a pump session? And also how can we bring up our supply when we are pumping?
So I don't want to give any number because I feel that's not fair. It really depends on the quality of your pump. If you have a very good hospital grade, high quality pump, the output is different. So I would always tell the mother who is keen on pumping for a long time, she should invest in a high quality hospital grade pump and she'll have to work with the settings, to try out what settings she's able to get better output. Also needs to be calm and relaxed, cannot be stressed. And definitely comparing won't help at all. So there are a lot of factors for pumping. And I always suggest that if she is really keen on pumping, she should start much before then she's going to start working. If she has like a month to go, for example, or 2 months to go to get back to work, she should start practicing it slowly at home because then she's kind of set, she knows what she needs, and it becomes like there should be a schedule. It cannot be erratic. If she's planning to pump, she should pump around the same time. And the best times to pump are early mornings or late nights because prolactin levels are high at that time.
Absolutely. So again, it's all about prepare. Okay, so it's about preparing the right equipment. I totally agree because like I had two different pumps. I had my hospital grade Spectra S2, and
Yeah.
then I had this like variable pump which is like locally available in Singapore. And my milk supply from both of them was dramatically different. Like they both had a role to play in my day because obviously the variable was easier
It's
to
easy.
use than the hospital grade one, but it made a huge difference in the milk supply. And like you said, you have to start early. You can't wait to start pumping till the time that you're about to go back to work. Because you see, going back to work is also a massive and very stressful transition. Leaving your baby behind, getting back to the meetings and the schedules and all of those things.
Yeah.
On top of that, you don't want to add another new skill that you're learning, at the same time. You have to start this earlier.
Yeah, so as you said, many mothers today do have a primary pump and a secondary pump. The secondary pump is usually a variable pump, which gives the freedom to continue working and pumping. But again, the outputs vary. It cannot be compared. And they are just to help you collect milk while you're working and you're busy, or you have to step out. And
Absolutely. So in your opinion, what's your favorite like primary pump? Like if somebody comes to you and asks you for a recommendation for a primary pump, which is the one that you recommend?
so, a lot of the mothers here in India are using Spectra. And I think a lot of them abroad also are using Spectra because the way the Spectra pump works is really good, helps mothers to, drain out milk from both breasts. But there are now a lot of other brands which are on the market. Of course, Medela also is good.
What about a wearable pump? Because that is where there's a lot more confusion for mums, and wearable pumps are like ridiculously expensive as well. So, like, which is a
There are
wearable pump that you recommend for mums to
some
get?
there are some good brands in India, like the Pro Mom, which is an Indian brand. There have been moms who are quite happy with it. There is Mom Cozy. There's another brand from the US, which one client recently told me was really also very good. Eufy, I think. Yeah. So
Yes,
again,
Eufy. That's the
it's
one I
such
had.
yeah, like different mothers go through different experiences. Some things work, some don't. Like I remember, I just couldn't use a handheld pump, a manual pump. It was so hard for me, but my sister could do it with a hand pump, a manual pump. So again, I have had moms who could manually with their hand express like a lot of milk. So they got so used to it, they could easily hand express and remove. It's again a lot of works differently for different women.
That's like the beauty of it is that there are options available for all mums. It's just about getting the right support and doing a bit of that trial and error to see what works for you. Like what kind of journey works for you, whether it's exclusive breastfeeding, whether you're combo feeding along with pumping or with formula. You have to find one that works for you, works for your baby as well. And of course, seek help from professionals like you to figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so true.
I feel like we have gone through so much information that, moms are just craving to get the answers of this from a reliable professional. And we have gone through so many of these questions, and I just can't wait to put this episode out there to help all these expecting parents as well as moms who are in those first 6 months feeding baby, trying to figure out combination feeding, trying to figure out how to go back to work. And I feel this is all going to be really helpful for them to understand. If anybody wants to get in touch with you to get support from you directly, what is the best place to get in touch with you?
So they can message me on Instagram. My handle is Samabhati on Instagram. My contact number is there. They can even email me samabhati@gmail.com.
Amazing. So thank you so much, Seema, for today. And I'll put all your contact details in our description as well. So anybody who wants to get in touch with you can do that directly from when you're hearing the podcast. And I just want to tell all the mums who have tuned into this podcast today, I hope you have a lot more sense of clarity and confidence about breastfeeding after hearing Seema talk and give such life-changing tips about how to get yourself to not doubt everything that you're doing and instead just trusting your body and trusting that relationship and doing what makes you and your baby happy. All right. So if you like this episode, please share it with somebody. And if somebody has shared it with you, please know that they love you and they want to support you. And I'm so glad to have you on this episode, and we'll see you in the next one.